There was a time when money clinked, when value had weight. Coins of silver and gold passed from hand to hand, leaving the faint metallic scent of worth. But today, the sound of wealth is silence. The faint click of a card, the invisible pulse of a transaction traveling through fiber optic veins. In less than a century, money has disappeared from sight. We no longer hold it. We tap, swipe, and scroll it. And yet, we have never been more bound by it. The end of cash is not just a change in payment methods. It is the quiet revolution of control, a shift from possession to permission, from freedom to tracking, from gold to code. To understand how we arrived here, we must go back, far before the age of ATMs or apps, to when money first became memory. Before coins, before banks, before numbers were written, humans traded on one thing: memory. You gave me grain today, I would remember to return wool tomorrow. This was the barter age, but even then trade relied on something more than goods. It relied on trust. Money, at its core, has always been a story about who owes what to whom. When ancient Sumerians etched clay tablets around 3000 BCE, they weren't creating currency. They were recording debt, the first ledgers of human civilization. Temples served as the earliest banks. Offerings became deposits. Debts to gods became taxes to kings. And thus began the first equation of power. Memory equals control. If you could record what others owed, you controlled the future. That logic never disappeared. It simply changed format. From clay to paper, from paper to screens. Coins were born out of war. Around 600 BCE, the Lydian kingdom, facing logistical chaos in paying soldiers, stamped lumps of electrum with the royal seal. This was genius, thus a portable promise backed by the king's authority. It wasn't the metal that mattered, it was the symbol. The coin said, "The crown guarantees this value." Rome perfected the model, then corrupted it. To fund endless wars, emperors diluted silver coins. Fewer grams of silver, more pieces of money. Inflation wasn't invented in modern times, it was born with empire. When the denarius fell, Rome's economy didn't just collapse, trust did. And once trust dies, money follows. It would take over 1,000 years for the world to find a new kind of faith, one not in kings, but in paper. The first banknotes appeared in the 9th century China under the Tang dynasty. Carrying heavy copper coins across vast territories was dangerous. Merchants began depositing coins and receiving paper slips, a receipt, a claim. When the government formalized this system, paper became official money. It was light, efficient, and terrifyingly easy to print. By the 13th century, Marco Polo marveled that the Great Khan makes his subjects accept paper as if it were pure gold. But like every promise in history, it depended on faith. When rulers printed too much, value vanished overnight. Centuries later, France's assignats, Germany's Reichsmarks, and countless revolutions would repeat the same sin. Too much promise, not enough backing. Paper brought flexibility, but also fragility. Still, it laid the foundation for something new. A system where value no longer needed to be seen to be believed. As trade expanded, merchants needed a safer way to store wealth. The solution came from goldsmiths, trusted artisans who held coins in vaults and issued receipts. Those receipts over time became tradable. And just like that, private paper money was born. Soon governments realized they could do the same at scale. The Bank of England, founded in 1694, introduced the revolutionary concept of national debt. The crown could spend money it didn't yet have, in exchange for promises to repay later. Debt became the foundation of modern finance. Paper no longer represented gold. It represented belief in the future. From that belief, capitalism was born. The 20th century turned money into machinery. After the Great Depression, the world tied its currencies to gold again, until 1971, when President Nixon severed that link forever. From that moment, money stopped being a commodity. It became a decision. Every dollar, every euro, every yen was now fiat, value by decree. Money was worth something because government said it was. Central banks became modern alchemists. With the press of a button, they could create liquidity from nothing. In crises in 2008, 2020, and beyond, trillions appeared as digital entries in balance sheets. We no longer needed gold mines. We had keyboards. In the 1980s and 1990s, as computers spread, money shed its final layer of tangibility. Cash gave way to cards, then to screens. Banks digitized their ledgers. Transactions that once took days could now happen in seconds. But something else changed. Ownership became permissioned. When you tap your card or send a transfer, the money doesn't move. A central database merely updates who has the right to use it. Every purchase, every transfer, every balance, all stored, watched, and analyzed. Money became data. And data, unlike coins, can be tracked forever. The world had entered the era of programmable value. In a cashless world, anonymity dies. Every transaction leaves a trail, one that governments, corporations, and algorithms eagerly follow. Your bank knows where you eat, what you buy, and sometimes what you believe. Data brokers build financial profiles that determine credit, insurance, even dating matches. Money has always been power, but now it's information power, and in the wrong hands. Information is control. In China, the digital yuan already allows authorities to trace every movement of money. In the West, companies do the same for profit rather than politics. But the result is identical. You are not just spending, you are being measured. Then, in 2009, during the wreckage of the global financial crisis, an anonymous figure, Satoshi Nakamoto, published a white paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Its purpose was simple yet radical: to create money without middlemen, without banks, without governments. Bitcoin replaced trust in institutions with trust in mathematics. Every transaction verified by code. Every coin created by computation. No central authority. No censorship. For the first time since the dawn of civilization, money existed outside the system. But even as Bitcoin grew, so did irony. New systems of trust appeared. Exchanges, wallets, intermediaries. The same structures, now digital. The dream of decentralization collided with the reality of convenience. Still, Bitcoin changed everything. It proved that money could exist without permission. In the years that followed, governments learned a lesson. If you can't beat code, become code. Enter the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. China led the way. The EU, India, and the United States soon followed. On paper, CBDCs promise efficiency, instant transfers, and low costs. But beneath that surface lies something unprecedented: programmable control. Imagine money that expires after a certain date, or can't be spent on specific goods, or adjust value based on behavior. This isn't science fiction, it's design. With code-based money, value becomes a tool of policy, not just economics. Freedom becomes conditional. The digital economy has created a new class system: those who own the platforms, those who operate within them, and those who are scanned by them. Every click, every purchase, every swipe feeds into an algorithmic economy that measures worth not by wealth, but by behavior. Money used to measure productivity. Now it measures compliance. Your digital footprint becomes your financial identity, scored, ranked, and priced. It's not dystopia, it's already happening. We began with memory and we end with it. From clay tablets to blockchain, every stage of money's evolution has been about recording promises. Today, those promises are stored not in temples or vaults, but in data centers, vast digital cathedrals humming with the energy of belief. Money, once physical, is now a networked illusion. But as long as people believe in that illusion, it holds power. Perhaps the end of cash isn't the end of money at all. It's simply the next form of faith, a religion of digits and trust managed by algorithms prayed to with passwords. In the future, money will not just represent value. It will create it. Artificial intelligence will issue, allocate, and perhaps even hoard wealth autonomously. Smart contracts will execute payments without human involvement. We will no longer ask, what is money worth? We will ask, who controls the code that defines worth? That is the ultimate question of our age. Because in a world where cash no longer exists, where all value is programmable, the most valuable currency left is not gold or Bitcoin or credit, it's freedom. Money was once a tool, then it became a system. Now it's a mirror, reflecting not just what we have, but who we are willing to be. The end of cash is not a tragedy. It's a transformation. But transformations always demand something in return: privacy, control, and sometimes our very sense of ownership. History shows that when money changes, society changes. And as money becomes code, so too does power. The question is simple but eternal. When everything of value is digital, who holds the delete key?